I thought I was just going to a party. The invitation had been vague, a gala on the orbital city of Virelia, hosted by a consortium of interstellar dignitaries. I didn't belong among diplomats or nobles, but my freelance tech job had granted me a guest pass. I assumed it would be a night of neon lights, strange music, and alien drinks that would make my head spin. I did not expect her. Her name, as I would later learn, was Selira. I first saw her across the ballroom of the starlit atrium, moving with a grace that made gravity seem optional. Her skin was a pale luminescent blue, and her hair flowed like liquid shadow. Her eyes. I couldn't describe them accurately at first. They were not simply colored, they seemed to shift, like smoke curling in silver moonlight. And yet, there was something undeniably human in the way she looked at people. She was alone. And that made her magnetic. I approached cautiously, rehearsing something witty in my head that sounded even worse in reality. "Would you care to dance?" She turned to me fully, and the room seemed to quiet. Her eyes met mine, and in that moment, I felt as though I were being examined, carefully, critically, and yet with curiosity. She smiled, a small, enigmatic curl of her lips. "I would like that," she said. Her voice was soft, musical, with a resonance that lingered in my bones. The music shifted as we moved onto the dance floor. Unlike the clumsy humans and alien dignitaries around us, Selira didn't simply dance. She seemed to flow, glide, and command the rhythm itself. I kept up as best I could, laughing nervously whenever I stumbled. "Your coordination is interesting," she said, a faint smirk in her tone. "I get that a lot," I replied, trying to hide my nervousness. As we danced, I became aware of a subtle tension in the room. The other guests seemed to give her space, a wide berth that made the ballroom feel strangely empty around us. I didn't notice it at first, too focused on keeping up with her movements, the scent of ozone and something faintly metallic in her aura. "Are you royalty?" I asked foolishly, impulsively. She tilted her head, amused. "Not in the way you think." I laughed. "Then why does it feel like everyone is afraid of you?" Her smile widened, a glint of fangs flashing for a heartbeat. My stomach dropped. "Afraid? Or respectful?" she countered, voice low and intoxicating. That's when the first thing happened that should have scared me but didn't. She pressed closer, guiding me into a flawless spin. I stumbled, caught myself, and looked up into her eyes. Something primal and commanding shone in them. She wasn't human. I had suspected as much, but that glance confirmed it. Yet fear was replaced by a strange exhilaration. By the time the dance ended, the music had faded into the background. We were standing in a quiet corner of the atrium, near a holographic fountain that shimmered with violet light. My chest was pounding, adrenaline surging through me. "You are reckless," she said softly, and the words felt like both a warning and a compliment. "Me? I just asked someone to dance," I said, grinning. "And I'm fairly sure I didn't embarrass myself too badly." Selira chuckled, the sound low and hypnotic. "Few have survived a dance with me and lived to tell the tale," she said, voice now carrying a tone of dark amusement. I blinked. "Survived?" She leaned closer, her lips near my ear. "I am Selira. I rule the night." The words didn't make sense at first. I assumed it was some kind of metaphor or elaborate joke. But the cold ripple in the air around her, the way shadows seemed to cling to her movements, and the faint metallic tang on my tongue told a different story. "You're a vampire?" I asked, my voice cracking slightly. She laughed softly, a sound that echoed in the hollow spaces of the atrium. "Vampire. Queen. Titles are meaningless. What matters is that I am not human. And yet, you asked me to dance. You did not flee." I swallowed hard. I didn't know." "You didn't," she said, eyes glimmering. But now you do. And then, before I could react, the ballroom lights dimmed, shadows creeping unnaturally along the walls. Guests began to murmur, stepping back instinctively. I felt it, too, a pressure in the air, a weight of centuries of power concentrated in a single presence. Selira had noticed it, too. They fear me, she said softly, almost sadly. They know what I am capable of. And yet, you chose to see me as someone worthy of a dance. I didn't know what to say. What could a human say to a queen who had lived longer than most empires, who ruled the night, and whose fangs could end me with a single bite? Selira smiled, brushing a lock of dark hair from my forehead. You are interesting, human, reckless, brave, or perhaps foolish. It matters little. Come. She led me through a side passage I hadn't noticed, beyond the main atrium. It opened to a hidden courtyard, illuminated by bioluminescent flora and a crescent moon suspended unnaturally in the sky. The air was cool and crisp, tinged with something sweet and intoxicating. Why show me this? I asked. Because no one else dares, she said. They bow. They fear. They obey. You chose a dance. I laughed nervously. I guess I don't follow the usual rules. Rules are for mortals, she said, voice carrying a weight that made my heart pound. And tonight, you are mortal, but you have defied the night itself. I didn't understand her completely, but I nodded. The way she looked at me made me feel like I had done something extraordinary, though I had only asked her to dance. And then the first attack came. A flash of red light on the horizon. Figures, cloaked and armored, descending from the sky. Assassins. Selira stiffened, her eyes glowing, shadows twisting around her form like living tendrils. You brought danger, she said calmly, almost boredly. No. I shouted. I didn't know. Doesn't matter, she said. Stay behind me. What followed was chaos. The assassins attacked, weapons discharging bolts of plasma and energy. I dove for cover, peering through cracks to see Selira move. She was terrifying. Shadows coiled around her like serpents, striking out at anyone who approached. Her speed was unmatched, strength supernatural. Within minutes, every assailant lay incapacitated or fleeing. Not a drop of her power was wasted. When it was over, she turned to me, eyes softening. You see now. I rule the night. And yet, you stood beside me without flinching. I didn't know what else to do, I admitted. You could have run. You could have screamed. You could have died. Her gaze pierced me, and yet there was warmth beneath it. But you didn't. That makes you remarkable. I swallowed, trying to process everything, the revelation, the danger, the realization that the alien woman I had danced with was a queen, a vampire, a force centuries in the making. I guess. I didn't think about that, I said weakly. Selira laughed softly, the sound like music and shadows entwined. That is why I have chosen you. Chosen me? Yes, she said. Mortals rarely survive a night in my presence and remain unafraid. You did. You asked me to dance, unaware of who I was, and you survived. That is rare. That is precious. I didn't know what to say. My heart was racing, my mind reeling. I don't understand, I admitted. You never will fully, she said, taking my hand. But that is not important. What is important is this, tonight. You have walked with the Queen of the Night. You have danced. You have survived. And now, you are part of my story. I laughed nervously, the adrenaline still coursing through my veins. I think I need a drink after all of this. She smiled, fangs glinting faintly. Perhaps. But first, stay with me. And for the first time in my life, I did not question the impossible, the dangerous, or the incomprehensible. I simply took her hand, and we walked through the courtyard, shadows twisting around us, the moon above us, and the galaxy itself feeling impossibly vast, and yet intimate. I had danced with an alien woman. I had survived the night. And I had discovered that she ruled not just the ballroom, but the very darkness that touched every corner of her empire. That night changed everything. For me. For her. And perhaps, if the galaxy was listening, for everyone else who dared to cross paths with the Vampire Queen. Because some dances are more than movement, they are destiny. And some queens are immortal.